Greetings, brothers and sisters. So this is a voiceover I'm doing for this channel, and it'll eventually be in the 153rd Journey series. Okay, so I was I just had the best satsang that I've had with the Gratefulness meditation. Doing the sittings, at least as far as I can remember. It's the best one I've had in quite some time, including the recent gathering sittings. I was having doubts about the whole gratefulness thing because, just like my channel, there was an influx of people, and then, people who want to do the gratefulness meditation, people who started heartfulness, people, over the years. And there were so many people, like, whatever it was, between 250 and 200 people. Like, it's like that many. And there had been people who had done it over the years. And, I made the gratefulness meditation videos, and some of the people started. But it's just like with the YouTube channel, people fade away. People come and go, people. And it's always been the case with Sahaj Marg, where, there'll be a influx of energy charge. You would come to the America. A bunch of people would start. People would get enthusiastic. They would go to a gathering or two, and they would be into it for a little bit, maybe for even 20 years, and then fade away. It's been sort of the problem with it. Like, it's just, people don't stick, and, it's, out of all the people who start, and a bunch of people would start, they'd quit within a month or two. They try it for a little bit, and, whatever. Maybe they feel a transmission, maybe they don't. But either way, they just don't stay with it. And you need influx of people, and you need that energy. And without the gatherings and without, the living master, and even with the living master, he was carrying everybody. Chargy was propping everybody up and keeping them into it, right? Like, they couldn't connect on their own, for the most part. Like, they have to have him facilitate the connection. It was, the burden of keeping them into doing the system was on him. I mean, even these long-standing people. So when he left and Daji sucked, the mission is wherever it is. It's just, people are unenthused, and if they are into it, it's some personal ego gratification thing that Kamlesh has given them. And now with the transmission, the cleanings and things not being there, with Kamlesh and the gatherings being, goofy and not, not worth the trip. And it's just, now, of course, the criminality and all this stuff with Kamlesh. And so doing the gratefulness meditation started good. Like, I felt good about the energy, and I was relieved, and my practice got very dynamic. And, I think it's been much better. I don't think it's been much better than it was under those last couple of years of doing heartfulness. And so, I was going to continue doing it myself, and I'll always do the gratefulness meditation, but I was just, like, having my doubts about, it's not really sustainable, and, like, there's no path forward without, like, some of these. It would really need to take some good experienced abhyasis, because I'm not a master. Like, I'm not, even if I was, you can't do it all alone, and, you just can't. And you leave feeling bitter and angry because people let you down, and, they don't stick with it, and it's just, it's hard. Like, it's a hard thing to do. Like, it's, we're missing huge chunks of the system, right? The books and the, the information stories I can provide here to some extent in the Journey series and all this stuff. But we're missing things. And then, I haven't been able to release the Journey series. I was a little hesitant to release some of the more recent, the stuff to the public. So it's been on my member section. And now, like, I don't have the ability to release it because I'm making these videos and they're being viewed. And a Journey series video would throw off some of that stuff, right? So it's like, because I'm getting tens of, 8 to 10,000 views now, where I was getting 4 or 5 before, even less 3 something, And so my view count is, like, basically doubled, and there's a lot of energy around my channel now, and everything's like popping with the election, the things going on, and whatever. And so it's hard to stick. There's a couple of videos I want to put out that are on my membership channel that aren't, that aren't Journey series. So it's a whole thing. Like now I have to figure, every 2 days I'm putting up a video and people are watching it, and getting the more views and getting the channel revitalized is, so it's a whole, like all this stuff is, and I'm doing farm work and there's a whole thing there. And the apocalypse is coming, right? So, what happens when there's no internet? Like, so there's just, just a handful of people doing this system and meditating. And I'm glad that they are. Those of you who are doing that, great. And I'm glad that you're able to stay with it, and for yourselves and for the future, and so of everybody. But it's limited. Like 100 people isn't, and there's nothing else out there. It isn't like there's other people doing what I'm doing what we're doing, which is connecting directly. There's people who are still, lingering around Comlish, but, so anyways, I wasn't feeling it. Like I was sort of unenthused about all of it. Just the last gathering with Comlish and just that, him disrespecting Chargy. And, I was like, well, at least I don't have to, having that be resolved was good. But, in terms of the gratefulness meditation, what's the path forward? And then I'm going to talk to this guy, Mr. L, who, someone who's had some issues with the system, but it seems like he went to an ashram based in his text to me. And he had some good conversations, and I think he's just going to say he's going to stick with, the debacle there. And he's been watching my videos, and he knows, and he was ostracized. And, it's just, he was kind of a truther almost, like, truther adjacent. I know he was into Trump for a while, so there's that. But, there's just nothing there, like, in terms of the people aren't, I knew that they weren't truthers, that the, people who are abhyasis, like they're not real truth seekers in the sense that we call truthers here politically. And, they just wouldn't listen in terms of the UN and these other things. A lot of them are liberal here in America, and then there's a very conservative business-oriented people from India, and then they're all very establishment-oriented and buy into the bullshit narratives, the woke consciousness for the, and they, and I was thinking about Chargy because this whole, watching the Olympics just degraded, and then I watched this movie Monkey Man, which, there's a guy who's in the movie is, he's like Diaper Baba. In fact, there's a review I saw that said, yeah, this guy it has to be Baba Ramdev. And so this guy's the villain. He's, there's this, the main character, Dev Patel, which is interesting, he's kind of the main Indian actor that's Western, and he made this movie. And it's not for Indians, like they haven't even released it in India, but it's about a poor Indian kid who grew up in the rural area, and this guru took his land to make a bogus ashram where he uses his followers as slave labor. It's very similar to the Diaper Baba story. And the guy ends up, spoiler alert, killing the guy at the end, and, it's a whole thing. But it's, he gets saved by transgender people. Like a transgender sort of, like, religious sort of spiritual commune. And they come to his rescue, like, in the fight scenes, and it's just a weird thing, and, like, just degraded. And I'm like, there's no way they could release this in India, based in, how, I don't even know what it is. It's kind of like it's okay movie, but it's, it's not the India of Chargy. And, it's not, Bollywood isn't either, so. But it's, and I was thinking about Chargy to do with all this, and how he was, he said things that were against gay marriage. Like he said, you can't have a gay marriage. You can have marriages between a man and a woman. It's just all there it could be. It's a specific thing for reproduction and a family unit and things. And, he said these other things he said stuff to this guy, Mr. L, that got him kicked out of a liberal satsang. by the preceptors who live close to me, right? Who um, did a similar thing to me, and he, this whole thing, the preceptors ended up just, but they weren't listening to Chargie's talks, and these talks that he gave that were anti-liberal, anti this progressive movement, and not that he was political, he was just saying this stuff is just wrong. He often talked about the conservative stuff as well. He was truth. He talked the truth, and these people couldn't get past their belief system, but they didn't go against him. They ended up accepting, like, he was tolerating his talks, but as soon as he was gone, they went back to their liberal ways. And this guy, Mr. L, went to the ashram, and he was talking about how they were all freaked out by Trump, and, they were all like, all these liberals. These were like American, white people, boomer hippies. And, I was thinking about Chargie. I mean, he was told to bring in discipline to the mission, and, these talks that he gave, like, were truth. They came from a spiritual place. That you had to throw off your belief system and your orientations, whether you were conservative or liberal, or you were political. And none of these people could do it. None of these Abhyasis, even though some of them were so devoted, they loved him so much, and they were really into the system, they couldn't throw off their indoctrination. And, so it doesn't really bode well. I feel like it's right now it's a lost cause. I mean, the transmission's great, and the cleaning and transmission are great. I mean, they're wonderful. It's a solution, but people can't rise up to it, and and I don't have an answer for it. But it was a really good satsang today, so that made me feel good, because what is needed is people who are better than the existing Abhyasis were, because, like, I can't carry people like Chargie did. Like, I can't, I just don't have it in me. I'm not capable. And if I am, it's not there presently. But why would it be there? Because, I'm not a master, and it didn't work with Chargie. Like, Chargie ended up making his I guess his best choice was Kamlesh Patel for a successor. So, after carrying everybody for so long, he had to hand the mission over to a guy who was wrecking it and destroying Chargie's legacy. That's how limited, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that would have been better. And you can't go on forever where the master's carrying the practitioners. Like, they have to rise up to it and really get into it, and rise to a higher level of consciousness, and, be better. And there were people who were great, like saintly people, but as far as I can tell, they've all failed. I don't know what they're doing, in terms of the dodgy thing. But I think most of them are supporting them because of their, their own cultural indoctrination and inability to deal with a difficult situation. And so the Abhyasis have to be better. They have to, work for this. I mean, and nobody deserves the transmission and cleaning the way it's given, and the yatra points and the quick evolution that, it could take it would take millions of years by self-effort. It's a kind of a Hail Mary given the situation with humanity. Humanity failing, not humanity doing good and getting rewarded for something they don't deserve, right? And so, all of these things. And so, so I'm not really I'm a little bit bummed by the whole thing. I don't want to say bummed out, just accepting a difficult situation. Like, I'm just going to plug away and keep on doing what I'm doing till, I transition into the, whatever it is I transition to, into the, as I go through the death process or whatever. But I'm going to continue doing it, and, it's going to be ups and downs, and, there's going to be a lot of, not as, I don't want to say doubt-filled, because, I'm committed to doing it. It's just, like, it's limited, and I don't see a path forward until, there is some sort of collapse and people crave divinity in a way that they don't now, with all the distractions of material life and the system and all the chaos and the evil that's coming through, and the degradation, and, people, like this younger generation just doesn't even know. They don't even know what's right or wrong. They don't know what's, they weren't even given the crappy, like, upbringing that we got, because our upbringing was certainly, going in the wrong direction. It was, in terms of materialism and lack of connection to divinity and the lack of any kind of, family unit. I mean, most parents were divorced. Half the parents, over half the parents, and the rest weren't great. Just a loss of traditional family values and things like this. And so, but we had at least a sense of it, and we were so much better off than this generation. So it's going to take some big changes for people to get it, and the distractions have to disappear, and a real need for divinity, like some kind of, you won't be able to make it through the day without connecting to God because it's going to be so difficult. That's what needs to happen, right? And that's what's supposed to happen according to Babaji. Like the new world, the new paradigm will be built on the bones and ashes of the current civilization. And so, the breakdown of civilization and the political breakdown and the Apocalaughs and all the things that are happening, are a good thing. So, but I'm glad to see the Satsang still, that the energy's still there. Like it's still with the Gratefulness meditation that we're doing here. It's been here, but it hasn't been as good like lately. At least for me. I don't know about for other people. And, but it was, a kind of a, there was the transmission that came during the gathering. Like there was just a time where I was around 6 or 7 o'clock, and there was just transmission came, and the last sitting was pure transmission, which is wonderful for 18 minutes for Chargie's birthday. But like I just wasn't able to get into it and focus in on it like I used to, because of all the things that were going on. Just there was a lot going on for me, like in terms of farm work and other things. But it was a nice time, though. I would say that there was a spiritual time as well. From my birthday all the way through the Chargy. So I don't know. It's, I'm saying it's kind of a struggle now. And it will be until there's, a call, like a deep craving for people to find God, and really when people start putting the effort in, because they don't really have a choice. That's what's going to come. They'll have a choice, but it's going to be impossible to live life without God. Like that's what it's going to be. In the future, right now, it's hard to live life with God because of all the distractions. Everything's pulling you away from God, and the system doesn't want you to connect to God. And so it's hard to, to settle down into it. Anyway, so good Satsang. Like I said, it was, I think, 45 minutes. I'm not sure. But people who are, who haven't been doing the practice, it's, this is for, the Gratefullness meditation channel, but I'm also going to put this in the Journey series. It's anytime you wake up in Sunday morning, there's a 40 to an hour minute satsang each week, and people can connect to it if they want. All right, so that's it for this one. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramano, definitely important for the Apocalaughs and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.